Hey guys, for today's lesson, we're going to talk about measuring length. Length is how long or how far away something is. When we think about measuring length, we can think about certain units we use to measure this length. We think about customary units or metric units. Today, we're going to focus on customary units. Customary units are something that we use here in the United States when we measure things that are in inches, feet, or yards. For today's lessons, we're going to think about inches. This is when we want to measure items that are quite small, such as a paper clip. If you look down here with the tools, here are some of the tools you can use to measure customary units. We use the inch ruler, the yardstick, and the measuring tape. Since we're measuring in units, we're going to be using the typical inch ruler. Here is a picture of this inch ruler. You see these in school. And if you notice on the ruler, we have these whole numbers. There's 12 of them. These are the whole inches. There are 12 whole inches on this ruler. Since we're going to talk about measuring to the nearest quarter inch or 1/4, we know that 1/4 is a fraction. And we already know that fractions represent amounts that are less than a whole or amounts that are between whole numbers. So I'm going to show you a close-up view of an inch. So here's 1 inch. And in between this inch, if you would count the equal sections, not the tick marks, the sections, you would count that there's 16 equal parts, or 16ths. That's what this whole number is broken up into, 16ths. But we're going to be talking about fourths. So that means our whole inch needs to be broken up into fourths. And you're probably thinking, well, how can we do that? I see 16. How can we make it fourth? Well, I'm going to show you quickly how we would do that with my little pen tool. So I have my holes, numbers 0 and 1, and I'm going to break up this whole inch into just 4 equal sections. So I'm going to split it into half. Now I have 1, 2, or halves. I want fourths. So I'm going to take each half and I'm going to split those halves in half. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal sections, or fourths, which is what we want to consider today. Okay, I'm going to go to this ruler. So to make it easier, today when you do your assignment, you're going to be using a ruler that already has the quarter inch marks. So you don't have to worry about dividing it up into 4 equal sections. It will already be done for you. Again, if we look, we have our whole numbers, and between each whole number, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal sections. So this shows fourths. Now, how to measure that? So let's say I need an object to measure. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to insert a shape. Let's do rectangles. So if I want to measure, the length of that. Okay. So let's make it a better color so you can see it. All right, so I want to measure the length of this purple rectangle. So I'm going to look and I'm going to see what whole inches it falls between. I'm going to circle them or underline them. So I know it falls in between the 4 and 5 inch marks. So it's past 4, but not quite 5. Okay, well now all I have to do is I have to count the sections that this purple rectangle takes up. So I already know it's past 4, so that's going to be my whole number. It's going to be 4 and something inches, okay? Now if we look, we know that each inch is broken up into quarters or fourths, but how many fourths does this rectangle take up? I'm going to start here. I'm going to show you first by marking on it. So if I boxed in this inch, and I can divide that inch up into 4 equal sections. So there we have it. I have 4 equal sections. I'm going to shade in all the fourth boxes that this purple rectangle occupies or takes up. So I'm going to pretend I'm shading in there. There's 1/4, another 1/4, and another 1/4. I'm not going to shade in this last 1/4 box because my rectangle doesn't go past this point. So how many fourths did I shade? Well, 1, 2, 3. I shaded in 3/4. So this purple box or rectangle is 4 3/4 of an inch. Okay, sorry, I can't write inches very good, but you get the idea. All right, so I'm going to give you an assignment. It's going to look like this. Let me switch screens. You're going to measure each object to the nearest 1/4 inch. So I'm going to do the first one for you. Here I have a bat. I want to measure the length of this bat. Again, I'm going to think about, okay, where does this bat end? It ends right here where this line is. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to get my drawing tool. I know it falls between the 10 and 11-inch marks. So it's past 10, but not quite 11. So I know it's going to be at least 10 something, right? Let me hear, I can make this bigger. Okay, let me move my box. Okay, but 10 and what? Okay, again, I have to think about how many of these 1/4 boxes does this bat fill up? I'm gonna get my another tool so we can see that, make it my box highlighter. And I'm just gonna shade in this section where the bat ends, okay? Now if I count how many 1/4 sections, I count 1, 2, 3. So this is 10 3/4 of an inch. So I'm typing in 3/4. Okay, I'm gonna move it closer, and voila, I just measured that bat. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. You're gonna measure, there are 5 problems on this page, and I did the first one for you. So if you have any questions, you can email me or message me through Remind.